Hi guys, Dirk here from Chef Zero to Hero. So today I'm going to be cooking a very easy, delicious recipe using one of my favorite proteins, duck breast. Bit of a cook's favorite because it's so versatile. You can make so many dishes using duck and absolutely delicious when cooked properly. So today I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes. Alright, let's get started. Okay guys, so for this particular dish, we're going to need the following set of ingredients. Potatoes, blueberries, sugar, chicken stock, half a lemon, and about 5 to 6 cubes of butter. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do with all these ingredients. And of course we need our delicious duck breast. And I'm going to show you guys how to prep and cook this to absolute perfection. And finally, the only other things we need is a touch of salt, a little bit of pepper, about a glass of red wine, and a few shots of vodka, and finally a touch of honey. And that's it. We're ready to get started with the cooking. Alright, so the first thing that we have to do is get our potatoes going, because this element of the dish is what takes the longest to cook. So we need to preset our oven to 200 degrees Celsius, which is about 392, 395 Fahrenheit. Have a pot of water boiling, and we're going to add just a little bit of salt and a touch of olive oil. Just a touch. Okay, now with the potatoes, there are a few ways that you can do this. You can either cook them whole, but be aware that it'll take longer to cook. For me personally, I like to cut them into quarters. That gives them a great size, but they cook a little bit quicker. Now, I'm only doing 4 potatoes, but if you're having more than a couple of guests, you'll probably want to do about 6 to 8 potatoes. And trust me, people will be wanting seconds of these potatoes once they're done. So once you've chopped them, they're going to go into the water, and we're going to parboil them for about 10 minutes. Okay, so once the potatoes have parboiled for 10 minutes, we're going to drain them, and we're going to give them a good shake. Now this is very important, and I'm going to show you why. Giving them a shake like this makes them very fluffy, makes the edges of the potatoes extremely fluffy, which is exactly what we want, just like that. Because once this goes into the oven, this will make the potatoes really crispy and that beautiful golden brown color, and just really crunchy on the outside. So just make sure you give it a good shake like that, and they look, fluffy just like that. And now we're going to get them into the oven. Okay, so the next step is to get your baking dish ready to go into the oven. Now today I'm going to be cooking the potatoes using duck fat. For a couple of reasons. One, we're cooking a duck dish, so it's going to go really well with the dish. And secondly, using duck fat just elevates potatoes to a whole different level. But you can use olive oil or butter. Those are fine as well. But if you really want your potatoes to stand out, then I highly recommend using duck fat. About a spoon's worth, and just make sure that your dish is nicely coated. Then we're going to take our parboiled potatoes and add that to the dish. Now it's very important that you make sure that you do not overcrowd the dish. You want to make sure that all the potatoes are separated because that way it will make sure that we get that nice crunchy golden coating on the outside, which is what we want. If you overcrowd your baking dish, you won't get that. So if you need to, do it in batches or use a bigger dish if you have to. But yeah, just make sure that you don't overcrowd. Once that's done, give it a bit of a shake, and now that is going to go into the oven at 200 degrees for 30 minutes. And while that's going on, we're going to get started on the sauce. Alright, so to start our blueberry sauce, first thing we need is to get our pot of water boiling, and then we're going to add the following ingredients. So this is our sugar, which is going to give a real sweet note to the sauce, and to balance that off we're going to have the juice of half a lemon, and then finally we're going to add our blueberries, which goes great with the combination of the sugar and the lemon. So you can go ahead and add that and then let it start to reduce. Okay guys, so at this point I've let the sauce reduce down for about 10 minutes. So it's become this really beautiful, velvety, thick kind of texture, which is exactly what we want. So I'm just going to give that a quick taste. Yeah, that's perfect. So now what we're going to do is just set this aside. Put a lid on it so it stays nice and warm, and then we're going to get started on the second part of our sauce. Alright, so for the next part of the sauce, we have to get our red wine into a fry pan on medium to high heat. And we're going to bring this up to the boil. And the only things that we're going to add at this stage is a touch of fresh coarse sea salt and a touch of fresh black pepper. Alright, so once our sauce has come up to the boil, the next step, we are going to gently add our chicken stock. And look at that, you can already see a beautiful glaze kind of color coming across this part of the sauce. So we're going to give that a little bit of a stir through, and we're going to bring this back up to the boil. Alright, so now once the sauce is starting to reduce, I'm just going to give that a little bit of a taste, which is perfect. And now we're going to add our blueberry, lemon and sugar mixture to the sauce. So just gently add that in. That's perfect. That smells great. Okay, so just give that a bit of a stir, let it all mix in together nicely. We're going to bring this back up to the boil again and let it reduce some more. Alright, so the sauce has been reducing for about 5 minutes, and now we're going to add our cubes of butter. So around 5 to 6 cubes should be fine. Now this is very important because the butter is going to give the sauce this very glossy finish once it goes over the duck, and that's going to make the dish just look and taste amazing. So add that in, give it a good stir through, and bring it back to the boil again. Alright, so now once the butter is nicely mixed in, we're just going to give this a little bit of a taste. Okay, Yep, that's perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. Now, at this point, we're just going to add a little touch of honey. We've already added sugar, but honey gives the sauce, again, a beautiful glaze and just a different sweet note for the sauce. Really works well with the lemon that we put in earlier. So just give this a stir through. And as you can see, I mean, the color on this sauce is just amazing. Alright, so keep this for about another couple of minutes, and then we're going to get to the final stages of the sauce. Okay guys, so we are up to the final stage for our sauce, and this is actually the most fun part. This is where we're going to do the flambe. Now, if you guys haven't done this before, just be very careful. Just make sure you're always watching the fire. But it burns off very quickly, about 30 seconds, and yeah, once alcohol's burned off, that'll be fine. So you add your vodka, and you're going to bring this up to the boil on a high heat. And once it starts to really get boiling, we're just going to tip the pan forward and put it directly on the fire, and there we go. And that's it. And look, if you're cooking with friends, they love to see this sort of thing. So always a crowd pleaser. And this only takes about 30 seconds. Like I said, just keep an eye on the fire. And what the flambe does, and the vodka, adds this real deep, rich flavour to the sauce, and a great colour as well, which you can already see starting to come through. Alright, so about another 20 seconds and this should be done. Start to reduce the heat now. And that's exactly what we want. I mean, look at the colour on that sauce now. And that's it. Perfect. Now we're going to set this aside, and we're going to check on our roasted potatoes. Okay, so I've just taken the potatoes out of the oven. So they've been cooking for 30 minutes. And as you can see, they've already got this nice golden, crunchy coating to them. So just giving them a turn, and then we're going to put them back into the oven for about another 15 minutes. Just look, it really depends on how well done you want these potatoes, but about another 15 minutes and they should be perfect. And while this is going, we're going to get started on cooking our duck. Okay, so cooking the duck breast. This is very easy as long as you follow the right technique, which I'm going to show you now. So with a very sharp knife, and please be very careful, all we're going to do is score through the skin. So just gently, on an angle, go through the skin, and be careful not to go actually into the flesh of the duck. So just like that. Now this helps with the cooking process for the duck, and allows the seasoning to really kind of get absorbed into the breast. You can go the other way as well and do like a diamond pattern, but for me, I prefer just going one way. Now we're going to add obviously a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, and be generous with this. You can add other spices if you like, basil, oregano, you know, other things that you might prefer, but salt and pepper is perfect. So just make sure that is all nicely worked in to the skin. And then on the flesh side, we're going to add obviously a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. And again, just make sure that is all rubbed in. You want all of that seasoning on the breast. And that's it, perfect. We're ready to cook. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is get our pan on a very low heat, and we're going to place our duck breast skin side down, right in the middle of the pan. We're not using any oil or butter or anything like that, because we don't need to. The duck is going to cook in its own fat as we increase the heat, and that's all we need to cook this duck breast. Now this generally takes about 3 to 4 minutes at the most, and each minute we're just going to gradually increase the heat up to about medium high, and you'll see the fat being released from the skin, and that is going to make the skin very crispy and golden, that golden color, which is what we're going to be looking for. And then we're going to get the duck into the oven. Okay, so we've been cooking the duck breast now for just about 4 minutes, and as you can see, all the fat has nicely rendered off from the skin. So we're just going to turn this over, and all we're going to do is now sear the flesh for about 30 seconds. And as you can see, I mean, look at the color on the skin. It's beautiful, golden, it's very crispy, exactly what we were looking for. So, yeah, about 30 seconds, and then we're going to put this into the oven for 6 minutes at 200 degrees. And we've already got our potatoes going at that temperature, so this will be perfect. Now, for me personally, 6 minutes is fine, because I like my duck breast to be pink in the middle, but some people prefer to have it a little bit more well cooked, so you can leave it up to 8 minutes, but personally I would only leave it for 6, because you do have to let it rest as well and it continues to cook. So I think 6 minutes is perfect, but it's really a personal preference for what you guys like. So we're just going to sear off the sides, and that just looks amazing. And then, like I said, 6 minutes in the oven, skin side down. Now, make sure that you have a pan that you can put into the oven. So like a cast iron pan or a pan with a metal handle. If you don't have that, you can use a baking tray. Just make sure that it's been in the oven and preheated before you put the duck in. And that's it. So skin side down. That looks great. I'm going to take this off the heat now. And 6 minutes, and then we'll take this out again. Okay, so it's been 6 minutes, and we're just going to take the duck out of the oven and whack. Okay, I wish you guys could smell this because it is just perfect. Alright, so just going to turn this over and look at that, look at the colour. Exactly what I was going for. Okay, and we're just going to keep this, and now we have to let it rest. It's like a steak, you have to let it rest. If you cut into it too early, all the flavor and the juices are going to flow out, which is not what we want. So we're going to let this rest for 5 minutes, and in the meantime we're going to get our potatoes out of the oven. Okay guys, so while the duck is resting, just taking the potatoes out of the oven, and look at that. Exactly what we want. Beautiful, golden and crunchy. So all we have to do now is just cover this with foil, just to make sure that they stay nice and warm. And now we can get on to slicing the duck breast and then preparing our plate. Okay, so the duck has been resting now for about 5 minutes, and what we're going to do is take a very sharp knife and we're going to start cutting into this. Now when you cut into the duck, make sure it's on a slight angle, and the most important thing is that you don't want to cut your pieces too thin. If you do that, it's going to go cold very quickly, and that's not what we want. Oh, this is absolutely perfect. Alright, so about 4 to 5 pieces should be fine. Just make sure that they're nice and big. And look at that. Nice and pink in the middle, which is what we're looking for. You might not be able to see that properly because the light is fairly bright, but it is beautiful and pink. Okay, and that is it. So we're just going to put this aside for a second, and all of our elements are now done. So the potatoes, the sauce, and now the duck, and now we're going to put this on the plate. Alright guys, so when it comes to plating, it's really up to what you prefer to do, but for me personally, I like to fan out the duck breast, have the potatoes on the side, and then drizzle that amazing sauce just over the top of the duck. I also add a little bit of parsley, just because that gives a great color contrast. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the dish. If you did, please subscribe, like, and share on your way out. And I will be back shortly with more amazing dishes for you guys.